Right.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. And today I get to hang out with my friend, Colin Baker, who is the publisher and founder of Akron Life. Colin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I do have to say that I I love the show. When I get them, they come out. So you're doing a great job. I really love it.
Oh, that means a lot to me. Thank you. Oh, man. I love doing it. This is actually one of the high points of my job. Because I get to hang out with really cool people and just really dig in deep. And so, first question for you, actually, I'd like you to describe. I asked you what you value the most about the culture at Akron Life, and so let's start there, and then we're going to go through the whole ladder of getting to know you.
Okay. So I mentioned before persistence, and passion. We, I'm not the oldest one here, but we have a lot of young people, especially on the editorial staff, and they have great ideas, and I like to tap into their enthusiasm.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Passion makes it fun to come to work. That's one of our I don't know if that's one of our core principles. One of our four core principles is passion. Because we want our people to just have fun.
and I think in a city magazine, especially, that's what people are kind of tapping into is your
Yeah.
passion for the city.
Yeah.
That's what they want to subscribe to.
Yes. And if you don't have that, then what are they subscribing to? Right.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to throw something completely out of left field. You used to be a race car driver.
Right.
Something
Right.
that most people don't. Most people watching don't know about you. Tell us about that journey.
So it's kind of funny because my brother and I both raced cars growing up, go karts, little. I started really little, and just that's all I ever thought about doing. And my dad was a magazine publisher.
Yeah.
He was a magazine publisher in automotive industry. So I kind of had that knowledge about the media business, and he
Yeah.
worked for another company, but my passion was always motorsports, and all I wanted to do was figure out how to make enough money to just keep on going. And so yeah, I mean, I raced kind of semi-pro.
Yeah.
My brother and I both were teammates. We traveled all around, did all kinds of great things, and then my dad came to us with an idea. Hey, I want to start this local. It was a business magazine at the time, and
Yeah.
I thought, why not? Just kind of take a little. And I actually saw there was some alignment where it motorsports. Part of what makes it go around is it's sports marketing,
Yeah.
and what makes magazines go around is advertising. So
Yeah.
there was so I could kind of see the correlation there, and I kind of dipped into it and took off from there. So
So what makes a good race car driver?
um interesting. Well, I think there is a certain sense of some natural ability, and how you get that, I don't know. It's feel, it's hand-eye coordination, and then we just call it seat time. Some of it is that when I was a kid, my dad would take my brother and I out to this local go-kart track, and he would just after work just let us go, and we would just race round and round and round and round, and some of it's just seat time, just doing it over and over and over again. And then my brother and I would push each other. I'd want to be
Yes.
faster than him. He'd want to be faster than me. And so it was, I kind of had that, that was just this thing my dad and I and my brother did together. And
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. So,
So on the spectrum between people that are risk averse and people that are, let's say, risk addicted, where do
kind
you
of know
sit?
where I'm going with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Where
just,
do you sit?
being entrepreneurial was such a natural kind of thing for me because I already was comfortable with risk. And I
Yes.
grew up in an entrepreneurial household. My dad had several businesses. I really only ever saw him work for somebody maybe once in my life. So he was always kind of had a paycheck coming from himself. And so it
Yeah.
was very comfortable for me to think, hey, you know, I can do this. And if I fail, I just, pick myself up and do it again.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So you don't have a huge problem with failure.
no, but I don't like to. I don't think anybody likes to.
Yeah.
And it can become tricky. I mean, in once you kind of develop this brand and you've got all these people and you definitely do not take as many chances when you've got more mouths to feed. Um,
Yes.
but this business since the day I got into it has been challenged. So,
Yeah.
you know,
You're comfortable in that space.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so the origin story so far, race car driver. I just picture the title, like from
Right.
race cars to publishing or something like that. But race car driver, your dad comes to you with this entrepreneurial idea. There's an entrepreneurial nature that you already have, that's you've inherited, you've cultivated,
Mm.
and you say, sure, let's go for it. You want to tell us? Can you tell us a little bit more about what happened from there?
So we ran a city mag, or we ran a business mag. We started a business bags. We had all these kind of great ideas. It was kind of like a direct response with like remember when they used to use bingo cards? We kind of were trying all kinds of different ways for like lead gen and doing some things that were kind of a little different. It just, it didn't really take off. And then it was just after 9/11. It's just kind of, things got very difficult
Yeah.
for a lot of businesses. And so we started to rethink this, and we did a focus group, and it kind of came out of that is like, hey, nobody has a city and regional magazine in our area, which is very strange. And this was in 2002.
Wow.
And so we kind of scrapped together enough money to put together one issue and said, if we can find some success after one issue, which is very difficult to do, then we'll continue.
Yeah.
And so we put out a holiday 2002, and March of 2003 we went monthly. So
Whoa.
yeah, and so we scrambled around. One of the things my dad was always good at was kind of putting these ideas together and getting it initially off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't his strong suit to kind of run things long term, be the manager, but he could kind of get these things kind of fired up and going. Um, and that's, March of 2003, we went monthly.
Yeah. That's wild. So it did have enough success. That first issue did have enough success.
We did, and we kind of funded it out of some lifetime subscribers. We kind of had a fixed amount of money, and we sold some lifetime subscribers. I still have people cashing in on that. They're getting a great deal at this point. They're getting a really good deal, but they believed in us initially, and so we had a handful of those, uh, and out selling advertising, trying to figure this whole thing out. And we already did a business magazine, so we had a basic understanding of how to do it. But there was more staff. We already had a graphic designer, and we just we just fumbled our way through those first few issues. And honestly, I look back at them, and they still hold up.
Yeah. Yeah. So you basically repurposed your staff from the business journal,
Yeah, right.
did a complete pivot based on a focus group, which I
Total
love
pivot. Yeah.
because your very origin was the community, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, and it remained the same. It's the same, the greater Akron area, which
yeah.
is, it's kind of like we're south of Cleveland, north of Columbus.
Yeah. And you've got your own culture, your own
Yeah.
community feel.
And what's very strange about our area is like we're pretty large, but we don't have a TV station.
Yeah.
There's no TV. So we kind of have this little bit of a media black hole. So there was a real opportunity for someone to kind of come in and fill that void.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing, man. Okay. When you're first starting the magazine and you're going from being a race car driver to Now what, right? Like what
Right.
was your role? Like what did you find yourself
It's,
gravitating towards?
it was so funny because we when we first started the business magazine, it was my dad, my brother, and I, and we like literally drew straws. I mean, besides my dad, it was my brother and I. One of us is going to be a graphic designer, or figure out how to be a graphic designer. One of us is going to be in sales,
Wow.
and I got sales, and it
No way,
honestly
dude. It was down to a straw poll?
pretty much. And
Crazy.
so, honestly, it was a better fit because my brother later has become a writer, and he works. He works for someone else, and and I sales was probably more natural for me, and so I kind of just like you know cut my teeth on making calls. And my dad's strategy at the time he used the phone book was everybody calls from the front of the phone book, so we're going to call from the back. So we started we started at the Z's and we worked
Z's.
back. We just
Yeah.
called businesses. There was a lot of hit and miss. Couldn't trying to figure things out, and in a lot of ways, it was kind of our single A, figuring out to get into the majors.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you what you learned from that. Before I do that, I want to put the seed here for people that are listening. As you can probably tell, Colin has a very entrepreneurial nature. And so, I discovered in talking with him, we have check-ins every year that they've had some really good gains in gaining political advertising. And I have not heard anybody talk about that. So just to tell somebody, if you're listening, where we're heading, that's where we're heading, is we're going to talk about political advertising, but we're going to mosey our way to it because it's an outpouring of the type of culture that he's built and the type of leader that he is. So tell me, Colin, what did you learn from those early sales experiences?
I learned, and this is kind of a continuation of, in a lot of ways, motorsports,
Mm-hmm.
or it could be sport in general, is that um, it's this persistence. It is this kind of never give up. Um, you know, like in racing, there's only one winner. Everybody else loses,
Yeah.
and so you're continuously fighting to win. And um, the same's kind of true in business. I mean, there's lots of little battles, and I just kind of learned to be persistent. And one thing that kind of stuck with me is my dad worked for a publisher who said, "Whatever you do, just keep publishing."
Yeah.
And I think that still kind of rings true today
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
um, we just kind of keep publishing, and
Yeah.
it's lots of stuff kind of comes out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like you to, there's something profound in there. I'd like you to tell me, like whatever you do, just keep publishing. What does that mean to you? That quote.
I think that there's highs and lows. We like COVID. I mean, very
Yeah.
easy. Like a lot of everything we did was just drying up. I mean, we had a lot of custom publishing around.
Right.
You know, just lots of different things that were gone. They were just gone overnight. It could have been easy to just kind of let's shift into something else. Let's do something else, and we just keep going, just
Yeah.
keep moving forward,
Yeah.
um, and just kind of keep looking on that. Maybe to a fault at times, but we keep pushing forward. And I do think that there are things that are revealed along the way. There's just new
Yes.
opportunity, and in a lot of
Yes.
ways, this kind of leads us into the political.
Yes.
Um, because as the landscape's been changing, and we've been looking at, like print's not as strong as maybe it was. We're growing in digital, and we started to look at what kind of opportunities are out there that would be uncorrelated. So I'm not going back to my advertiser and trying to get new budget, get new this, get new that. And so we kind of stumbled across because we are already doing kind of we call digital targeting or programmatic display and video and so we're already doing this, and we felt like, okay, let's look at taking this into the political space because you
Yeah.
can see it all over.
Yeah.
That it's being done all around me, um, and so it kind of ended up where a political office was a couple of doors over, um, and or a couple of buildings over, and so we just you just do what you do. You go, you knock on a door, and what we found was that when we first met with them, they were like, I know Akron Life. She ran a business. Who used to get it? Who loves the magazine?
Yes.
And so it became this. I'm just not this vendor, this person knocking on the door. I'm kind of like an old friend,
Yeah.
and in a sense, and so it was warm in a sense. And what's great about at least where we are is we're very politically neutral. I mean, this isn't something, we actually don't run political ads in the magazine. We don't cross that over. It's all kind of digital marketing, and so we just kind of formed this relationship from there, and we got one small client that first year, and it kind of grew out of that. And we learned a lot along the way. I mean, what happens is you get that first one client, and you're like, I'm going after someone running for Senate. I'm going after someone running for,
Yeah.
and so I
Just
start
go
making all these,
big, big, big.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, one deal, and now we're going for the biggest deals we can get, and
Yeah.
which there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But we realized very early on at that second year that in a lot of ways that was not our client.
Yeah.
And a lot of big political firms, they have access to all the same technology. There really wasn't anything that I kind of offered special on the national stage. And a lot of times they're very tied to political consultants and super PACs and all these things. And we've stayed out of that area.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
stayed out. We've stayed out. I don't want to be a consultant. I don't want to. I don't want to be involved in kind of the wins and losses. I want to provide a really good service. And what we found is that we have this kind of deep knowledge of our community, because a lot of what, especially in the local politics, is what they want they want kind of knowledge about the ins and outs of zip codes,
Yeah.
the ins
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
outs of some of the things that we do, or like addressable geofence. So access to voter data, local access to event targeting. So
Yes.
understanding these events, and then we found that there's a budget that's still substantial enough that is local that we can make a difference at. And so we started really putting these packages together where it's display, video, email, and then we have natural ability to do print pieces. So if you want to do other print collateral pieces, we can. But our main piece is that digital,
Yeah.
and nobody was offering it. And we still find to this day that not many are offering it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you found that there was a certain kind of an office too. It sounds like so. There's a certain kind of office that makes sense. That's going to invest some budget locally,
Right.
versus being tied to a political consultant or on the national stage, like
Right.
different rules and regulations that would hinder their ability to just go all in with a local marketing agency.
And we the hard thing is navigating. It's a divisive. There's two sides. It's
Yes.
divisive.
Yes.
And we try to walk this fine line of being able to be there for both sides, which is hard to do because very early on we had people say you kind of got to pick a side, and we really have been able to kind of back away from that. and
Yeah.
some appreciate that. I mean, in the fact that we understand the data,
Yeah.
and data's data, um, and we've gotten pretty good at kind of putting these together and being able to help their campaign um, do this. And we've learned things along the way, like we don't do social. It is a big piece, but one of the difficult things with social is that there's a lot of regulation around it, especially around political campaigns. And
Uh,
we've not wanted to risk our our social
channels.
accounts because you can
Yep.
immediately be shut down.
Yep.
So we leave social out of it, and we really only go after the programmatic display and video and streaming, and uh, and that seems to be effective. I mean, we always get the calls for people wanting to do paid social, but we've also said that one thing about um, social with political is that you have very little targeting capability.
Yeah.
So they've since 2020 they've really restricted so that you can't even. I don't even think you can segment based on political affiliation. So it's very high level stuff. So we find that with targeting, you can completely get into that, and we can get very pinpointed to the voter. So
Yeah. There's probably for anybody that's interested in exploring this in their market. I imagine there's like some serious gemstones inside this conversation because this is all stuff you had to learn the hard way because you weren't like, oh, they were doing it, let's do it like them.
yes,
Right? That media organization did this. Let's be a media organization like them and do it's like, no, you were like, whoa, let me walk down the street and talk to these people. And
yeah,
to see if they give me an open door.
and we do see they some kind of the newspaper does stuff. A lot of there's political ads. So I'm not actually sure what everybody else does. I just know that as we meet with candidates, um, nobody seems to be offering what we're offering, and it's not that they do offer it. It's at a really high level, and so your campaign has to be pretty big and substantial to move your campaign to Washington.
Yes.
So there's a if your campaign is not big enough to move to Washington, then your local campaign, and we found that it kind of our sweet spot is judges.
Yeah.
um, Judges are very easy to work with, and they have a substantial budget. um, Sometimes you can get into smaller stuff, school board and things like that, but they tend to be too small for us. And mayors, mayoral races,
Yeah.
sheriff races. I mean, pretty much anyone who's got a sign out there.
Yeah, if they've got a local sign,
Yeah,
that's a great
yeah.
rule of thumb. Yeah. If they're putting
And
signage out.
it also becomes the hard thing is that it is a very quick relationship.
Okay.
So
Okay.
um, you kind of work with them for this short stretch of time, and you don't see them for another 4 years. But you kind of make some inroads on within others, and so
Yep.
I
Yep.
I haven't figured out a way. I don't think I could make a complete business out of this, but
Yeah.
it is, I think
Supplemental.
there's a lot of opportunity to supplement your media company, and find, a decent boost in revenue,
Yeah.
and it's new revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. And then one thing that you've implied but haven't stated necessarily is you've got Akron Life, the magazine. You also have an agency,
Yes,
right? An agency
right.
entity that works alongside and shares resources with Akron Life, right?
Yes.
What's the agency called?
Well, you mean our internal
Yeah,
agency?
yeah.
So um, we we've named it. It's been BMG Digital.
Okay.
Um,
Got it.
uh, yeah. So Baker Media Group is the company. We've kind of that's one of those ones where we haven't really established the name, quite the name that we want on it. We know
Yeah.
what all we do,
Right. Right.
um,
No, that makes
but
sense. Yeah.
we just kind of hit the ground running with a lot of different extra pieces.
Yeah. But there is the delineation is important because this political advertising, you told me, I think, off camera, it's not something you want generally tied to your
No,
flagship brand.
no, we don't tie any of the and we've had people come, ask, about advertising, and we stay away from it. I mean, we have on some, if the local library has a levy, or we've done that, but they don't typically come to us, and honestly probably shouldn't,
Yeah.
because our magazine reaches a pretty broad area, and so a, if you're doing a political campaign, it's a matter of zip codes.
Yes. Yes.
So and that's why targeting's
Yes.
so effective.
Yeah. And so you understand the zip codes. Are we talking about mailings too? Like, are you doing mailings like zip?
We do those, yeah.
Yeah.
We do mailings. A lot of times people have companies that they work with, but we can. I mean, we definitely do oversized postcards and things like that for others. Haven't really gotten into like signs. I don't do yard signs or
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
like that. And
Yeah.
a lot of political offices already have these pieces in place, and there's a local print shop that does this, and they
Yeah. Yeah. They don't need you for that.
but I've developed relationships with the print shops. I've developed relationships with the list agencies,
Mm-hmm.
and so we've actually come together with some of the list providers to offer, because a lot of times a candidate will come to the mail house and say, I want to do a campaign. And so now they've been able to offer, hey, back that campaign up with some digital marketing.
There we go. There we
And
go.
so I have a relationship
There we
there.
go.
And so the importance in that is that one of the things that we do is addressable geofence. So we can take households and we can geofence that. And so that they can provide us with that data. We can upload that data and do that. One interesting thing, and I don't know if this is true in all markets, but voter data is available for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go to your local board of election and you can ask for all of the Democrats, Republicans, and independents, all the mailing addresses. And it's a lot of data. And you can download that and you can use that for your addressable geofence.
That's wild. That's so. When you say addressable geofence, can you put a little bit for anybody who's not familiar with it?
So our provider allows us to basically take an address, like you don't need a name, you just need a physical address, and they are doing a geofence, a digital fence around that house. And so you could be a Republican in a sea of Democrats, and we could, geofence that house, or vice versa. And so
Yeah.
we are able to geofence the house.
Yeah.
The other things are event targets. So we can take, a high school football game where, in a community, those are great areas where you could geofence for that night, a high school football game,
Mm-hmm.
and you could serve ads to that particular data set.
Right. So you're serving to mobile phones at that point,
Yeah,
like mobile phones that are within that.
So we're
in that
capturing
area.
device data, allows us then to serve ads to them, streaming or display.
Dude,
Yeah, because
that's wild. Yeah.
that device ID is tied to your home router. Your home router is tied to your smart TV, and now your TV you're able to tie that together. And vice versa, you could also, it could be tied to podcasts, so we could serve audio as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Dude.
All kind of based on that device data.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing, and I can see how
And
that would be very effective.
most local candidates just have no idea that they can do that.
Right. Right. And so you figured out the people that you can help on the national scale, the more sophisticated campaigns they know.
They
And
do.
yeah.
And, in we still don't give up on the national. We
Yeah.
still try. And I had someone come to me and say the easiest way to get that is to find a horse that's going upward. Find
Yeah.
that racehorse
Yeah.
that's gonna make it to the
Yeah.
Kentucky Derby. So
Yeah.
like some local candidate, you start tying into somebody locally who is
Yeah.
moving their way up. You know, eventually you're gonna
You'll be their
have
go-to.
that opportunity to do more national work. We
Yeah.
haven't gotten there yet, but you never know.
Yeah. So now looking at this as a class of innovation, right? Because again, you're like we've got a culture of innovation as well. Like that's one of our core principles is our four core principles as an organization are passion, creativity, humility,
That's a good.
dependability. Those are our four. So, yes, we try to be other things, but those four are the things we hold ourselves accountable to and make decisions based off of. And that creativity part is where we put like innovation, entrepreneurship. We want to be the kind of partner that's coming and saying, hey, we've got this new thing, you want to try it? As opposed to the partner's just like, well, let me take your order, like McDonald's, right? And I can see that you have a similar culture. You've created a culture of innovation. One of the things that's led to is this political advertising. Are there other things that have sprouted up from you harnessing kind of the passion of your group, the creativity of your group, thinking outside the box, things you wouldn't have expected?
I think some of the agency stuff is definitely. Uh, I mean, I've looked at like what are our where are we extremely competent,
Yeah.
and what can we do more of in
Yes.
the organization. And for us, it's like it's design, it's photography, it's writing, and it's sales. I mean, so for us, it's custom publishing where we can use our sales team to help support and
Yep.
drive revenue
Yep.
for an organization. And our writing and our kind of ability to understand print projects, and so there's that. I mean, we do websites, so a lot of times that's kind of what we do is like one of the areas, like a political website. We'll do the political website.
Yes.
We'll do the video. We'll do the we'll kind of do all kind of the back end and the creative and all those pieces for them. So
Beautiful. Yeah. It's very cool. You've got a sweet vibe over there. So what would you say is the dream? I talked to you a little bit about this before we got on camera. Like your dream and then even the company's dream. Where does the company going? What does that bright future look like that you're heading towards?
I think for the company, it's about kind of change and innovation, being able to stay relevant. Um, and I also find like some of these things are very cyclical. I mean, there's things I think are dead and they come right back,
Yeah.
and that's also part of the keep publishing. Um,
Yes.
that's part of
That's
the
a
keep publishing,
great
and,
way to
and
put
that
it.
is the fact that sometimes you just got to keep publishing, and sometimes these things they come back, they come back in style. I mean, there was a point probably a few years ago where I thought this is just gonna be a digital business, and then you find that uh, people are still very connected to the print, and I think in a lot of ways it's coming back. Um, there's a lot of trust. We know
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's uh, there's an experience you just don't get online,
Mm-hmm.
and um, and I think that there's just, as long as subscribers are coming in and they're huge fans of what we're doing, there's going to be advertisers that want that because that's where they get the ROI. They're
Yes.
getting the ROI by having these. We have these super fans, and those super fans, that flows over into the advertiser, and they get benefit.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I'm
man.
always surprised. I mean, you get big advertisers that, we're kind of going through that now, where you're meeting and redoing contracts and you're kind of going in there like, oh, maybe this is the year they don't want to do, they're going all, and it's not. It's, they're coming back,
Yeah.
blueprint, doing more.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that reminds me of a quote, something from Logan Aguirre over at 417 magazine. I don't know if you know Logan, but one of the one of the great ones. Just a great publisher, great thinker. And the thing that they get right, if you dig down with Logan about what do y'all get right, it's that they're really seen as the community, right? Like they're that's what she interviewed her advertisers, and that was the big thing that came out of her. Why do you still advertise with us? And it's like, and one of them said, because you are the community, right? Like if I want
that's good.
access
I
to,
like that.
you
Yeah.
are the community, being the community, like that's the measure. And so, how do you then push that flywheel of being the community? Well, it has to do with how you're interacting with the community and how you're perceived and how much trust you have and what places are you showing up and all those things, right? Like go
Right.
into that stew of, yeah, that's one of us, right? This magazine represents us. This is our magazine, right? Which again, from the very beginning, it was Akron's magazine, right? Because Akron, you're asking people, well, what do y'all want? And they're like, we want a city magazine. And
Yeah.
you did it.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah. It's so cool. Anything else in terms of dreams? What aspirations? Where are you going? What's the bright future? Where are you headed?
I really don't know. I mean, that's the beauty of it all is I really
Yeah.
don't know. It's like I
Yeah.
can't. I kind of have stopped trying to force it into what I just kind of let it evolve.
Yes.
So I don't really know. I just don't know um, what's around the corner. So you kind of there was this quote. I don't even know if it really applies, but there's a race car. There's a famous. If you follow Formula One, that's the team's called Williams Formula One, and
Yeah.
there's a book written by Frank Williams who started the team, and he said, "I don't like to make any decisions until the very last minute because I don't have all the information."
Wow.
So there is a sense of, I mean, obviously we have to make some decisions, but sometimes just things just come together and happen at the last minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I find that quote to be true, to
Yes.
just kind of hang in there and wait.
And some people have a really hard time staying in that tension
Right.
that you're describing. But I can see that that's a feature. That's a part of what's made you able to do what you do. It's a part of what makes you successful, is that ability to stay in that tension, and be ready to pivot and ready to innovate and ready to try new things at the drop of a hat, right? Because you're not locking your future in stone of what this has to look like. You're staying open.
I agree.
Yeah, that's good. There's a lot to be learned in this one. This was great. Colin, thank you for sitting with me today.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And for everybody that got to stay with us up to this point, that's another episode where I'm going to keep bringing you great conversations with great innovators in the industry, and have a little bit of fun along the way, and hopefully introduce you to a new friend. This is maybe you need to reach out to Colin and ask him some questions about how they were able to make this political advertising thing happen. But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Take it easy.